Good evening, USA, and good morning, Asia. I'm Chris Tang, the Faculty Director of the UCLA Center for Global Management. Today's event is hosted by UCLA Center for Global Management, and it is also sponsored by our Anderson graduating class of 2022. Over the next hour, we shall discuss with our distinguished guest, Julia Gouw, about her insights about ways for Asian women and other minorities to establish themselves as leaders in corporations and society. Before I introduce Julia, let me say a few words about today's topic. Asian Americans have been a strong presence in corporate America, but they are virtually absent in the executive suites. They represent 12% of the country's professional workforce. Yet, less than 1% of the S&P 500 CEOs were of East Asian descent. They are also least likely group to be promoted to management, less likely than other racial groups, including African Americans and Latinos. Also, the statistics are even worse for Asian women. Given this backdrop, Asian Americans are labeled as model minorities who are supposed to be those docile worker bees, meaning hardworking without making a fuss. But as many Asian Americans hit the glass ceiling and bamboo ceiling, they wonder what they should do to change the fate in the corporate world. To examine these issues, I'm delighted to have Julia Gouw to share her insight and wisdom with us about the journey to become a leader. Let me say a few words about Julia. Julia Gouw is the chairwoman of Preeminent Bank, a commercial bank in New York. She was a former president and COO of East West Bank. Known as one of the top 30 AAPI board members in the United States, Julia was ranked as one of the top 25 most powerful women in banking 5 times by the American Banker magazines, and also she has received the Los Angeles Business Journal's Women Making a Difference award 2 times in recognition of her achievements as well as her philanthropic contributions. Julia currently serves as a member of the board of directors of the Pacific Life and Visio. She was appointed as a commissioner of the Ontario International Airport in 2016. Also, Julia is a member of the board of advisors of the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. She was the founding chair of the executive advisory board of the UCLA Women's Health to promote women's health both in research and medical treatments. She has also endowed the UCLA chair of the mood disorder research, especially for women, in memory of Dr. Lori Alshula. Born and raised in Indonesia, Gouw came to the United States in 1978, where she earned her BS degree in accounting from the University of Illinois of Urbana-Champaign. Julia, thank you for joining us this evening. Now, just to give the background, can you take us back from the beginning? We know that your success, but let's go back to the point of origin. Can you tell us something? How did your journey start?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. This is so, much fun for me to see young faces, because as I get older, I like to see a lot of young faces. Just to give you my background, I was born. I'm pretty old. I was born in 1959, so in Indonesia. So picture the time that I grew up, where women like my mom or my aunt's generation, nobody worked outside, the home. Nobody had a career, and so I'm the first person in my family, the first woman that have a career. So I was very fortunate to have a dad that is very, very supportive. But part of the reason is that, unfortunately, when I was growing up, I have an aunt that was really physically abused by the husband, but she would not divorce him. And he would do it in front of us, slap her and do all these crazy things. And so my dad always told us, his daughters, is that you should never allow anybody to treat you like that. But she cannot, get a divorce because she doesn't have the ability to make her own living. So she has no choice but just to stay in the marriage and just, took on whatever happened to her. And then my dad says that, for you to have your career or to have a job that you can be financially independent, I cannot take care of you for life. I don't want you to be dependent on another man or anybody else. But the way to do it is that get a college degree and get a job. And you can go anywhere you want, to go to college. And I always dream of coming to the United States. My older sister went to Australia. It's closer to Indonesia, so she chose that. But for me, which I think I made, a better decision because later she come to U.S., to immigrate. But, and I said, I wanted to go to U.S. And, so after I graduated from high school, I came to U.S., I went to University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and I came 1978, and in January, where it was really, really cold, so I said, this is so cold, I don't want to live here. So I tried to graduate as fast as I could, and I graduated in 3.5 years because, I took a lot of classes, and then after I graduated, I moved to LA, and I've lived here, since 1981. So I consider myself a California girl, a Los Angeles girl, and I said that despite of the high taxes, I'm going to live here until I die. So I like the weather and I like, the people and all the activities that I have over here. So after I graduated, I came to LA, and my first job is as a staff accountant at Texaco, the oil company. All of you are probably too young to know, Texaco, but it's kind of gone. Probably now is part of the Exxon. I was there for 2 years, and I was very fortunate actually because I was very young, and here, I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman, and and I never had a role model. This is the difference, Americans, if you grow up over here, many of them have, parents, mothers, aunts, that are in the corporate world, so they really know what it's like. For me, I know nothing, I just show up, I get a job, I show up and try to learn whatever I have to do. But I was very fortunate actually. My first boss at Texaco, he was very kind to me. I consider him as my first mentor because, he would, help me, and he always encouraged me. And he said that, oh, you're very good. You're very analytical. You're very good at what you do. But, if you are in accounting, which is, my degree in accounting, it's better for your career if you, work in the CPA firm, the big 8 at the time, right now is big 4. So, but not just saying that, he actually helped me to get a job at KPMG, Pete Morwick at the time, but it's, I call it KPMG now, because his wife was the executive assistant for the managing partner of the Los Angeles office, and he gave my resume to her, to help me to get an interview. So I was really fortunate because normally that's not how you get into accounting firm, like that. But so I was really, really fortunate. So I, joined, KPMG, from, a staff accountant. And I would say that is probably for me is the best, learning, in the early part of my career, only because, and I also found another mentor, which, I'm still in touch, she was a senior manager and later become a partner. It's a woman, and, my first mentor is a white man. My second mentor, is a, Caucasian woman. And she was very good in also helping me. At KPMG, to be honest, at that stage, I was always so fearful because every time they give you a new assignment, I don't know what to do. It's like, I've never done it. I don't know, what to do. But what really helped me a lot, with my career over there is that she, she's well respected. Everybody knows that she's very good at what she does. And she really, trusts me, and she give me really good, performance review and always, told me at the time is that, oh, you can do it. When I got promoted very early at KPMG because of her support, normally it takes about 5 years to get promoted to a manager. I made it in 3.5 years. And of course I was kind of scared, I probably don't know how to become a manager. But she would tell me, oh, you'll be a better manager than many of these people that have been around much longer. So I think that what happened is that what I realized is that she had more confidence in me than me in myself. And that is very empowering. But another thing is that during that time, in my early part of my career, is that I read and really take seriously the self-improvement lessons and read a lot of the books, some of them very famous at the time, The Road Less Traveled or whatever, the Stephen Covey Time Management. And I even take the Dale Carnegie course, how to improve your self-confidence and things like that. And I would say that all that things and the experience I had at KPMG, having a great mentor, getting promoted, give me that confidence that one day it dawned on me, oh, I'm not going to read any of these books anymore. I think that, I got it. I know what, self-confidence and self-confidence to me, when I realized that I'm, whatever past challenges that I'm facing, I would just take it on and figure out how, to go about doing it. And this is something that I usually tell people is that you create opportunity, to the extent that you can, but then you need to seize opportunity because there are a lot of, especially women and Asian women in particular that I talk to, they're so fearful. They're so afraid that oh, maybe they're not ready for that. They don't take risk, and one of them. The reason could be they're afraid to fail. That is something that is really powerful is that if you're not afraid to fail. So if there's an opportunity, you seize it, you grab it, and you try to figure out your best and also leveraging on other people. That's another thing that I know some people, they like to do everything to research and to do things themselves. I tend to always ask people that have expertise in whatever, I'm facing. And, and a lot of people, they really enjoy it when you say, oh, you're such an expert in this subject. Can I ask you a question? They'll be more than happy to tell you what they know. Most people are very willing to help you, and with that, when you do that, it really speeds up your learning process. As opposed to people that, always they're so proud if I can learn everything from scratch myself. So, I think that you wanted to say something? I don't want.
Oh, because I like to follow on your questions. Oh, this is fantastic.
Okay.
Yes.
You can stop me anytime. You can intro me.
We can listen to you for the entire hour.
Okay.
So,
yes.
Thank you. I think it's wonderful for you to share with us about your wonderful experience at KPMG. This is really fantastic promotion for KPMG. But it's wonderful that you were empowered and your manager took you on and also you took risks. Really fantastic. We learned from that. Now, can you share with us that is after KPMG, then you went to East West Bank. Then how does the journey to transition from a manager in KPMG, then to become a president and CEO of the bank? How did it come about? How do you seek this opportunity or being sought after this opportunity? Can you share with us?
Yeah. So, when I was at KPMG, many people want to become partners so badly, right? So they go, I never wanted, that's not what I like business, I don't like being a technician, people that are so technical, in the accounting, those things. So that's why, for me, it was never really oh, I have to find a way to become a partner. So when the opportunity came, because, East West Bank was my, client, audit client, and then they were looking for a controller at the time. And I thought, oh, it's, it's a wonderful bank. And at the time, I thought that, it's a bank that has a lot of potential and, it is a great opportunity for me. And, and the bank, at the time was more focused in the Chinese American, community. And so I decided, to go to East West Bank as a controller. And during, my tenure at, and I ended up staying for 27 years, and then I become CFO, longtime CFO, took the bank public. And then when the opportunity comes, I was offered to become president, COO. That's, what I did, the last 7 years of my career. So I retired in 2016. I cannot imagine that I've been retired almost 8 years now, and I'm loving it too. So I love it when I work. It was really, exciting, and we grew. We did a lot of acquisition. We have the opportunity to take the bank public, and then it's like for my personal career, taking the company public, and because once you are public, there's a lot of opportunity to raise capital. It's kind of like a really, a good, exciting experience if you, get a chance to do that. So, even though this is back to, my dream when I was, young is just to become a CFO, and I got it, and when the opportunity come and I was asked, to become the president, COO, but, even when I was CFO, every, a position that I have, if something else that is outside my area that needs to be done and nobody wants to do it, I would do it. Even when I was a controller, I don't know how to sell loans, but it turned out that, we need to sell loans. Okay, I'll do it, whatever, if, the person that is supposed to be in charge not interested, to do it. So, then, that's why, for me, the transition tend to be pretty smooth because I tend to do a lot more. Even when I was CFO, I run many of the operations and, lending credit. So, yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful to listen to you in terms of taking on more responsibilities. So I think that we all agree that it's good to be seen, to take on more responsibilities, and you're being more visible. But there's fear. Because there's a fear that you may actually end up doing something you're not competent in doing. Then you may expose in terms of personal weaknesses. So as an Asian woman, which is really rare in the financial sector, will they encounter any challenges and obstacles that you encounter as you move up the ladder?
I have to say that in the beginning, when I was, much younger, being the CFO, because I become CFO maybe early 30s. So, I would go to function with, the bankers, CEOs, and I realized that I'm the only Asian woman, everybody are older, not even young, older white men, which is, back then, in the 90s, majority of the C-suite, banks are older men, not even young, because I'm sorry, that was the reality back then, somehow, now you see a lot of young people, and diverse, anybody, but at the time, pretty much older white men that, are in the C-suite. And in the beginning, sometimes I may feel uncomfortable or whatever, and I know that I'm, the only one. Even now, many of the boards that I'm on, I'm the only Asian woman. But you know what? I never thought that, I feel different because I'm, the only one. So my way of doing things is that, if you are offered a seat at the table, you sit there and you contribute to the best of what you can. And I think that sometimes, when I talk to some Asian women, when they were offered, a board seat, whether it's, a nonprofit or corporate board or government, sometimes they feel that, am I just a token person? I don't think that way. To me, I think that if you're offered an opportunity, take it. And then you learn like what is expected and you contribute to the best of what you can. And then what you wanted to, like learn more, you can do it, you can find, be resourceful, so that you can contribute, like on your position. So I think that, that's how I, in the beginning, I always felt like looking back, like being an immigrant, being a woman, Asian woman, even when I went to college, like coming over here, because long time ago, you don't have YouTube or whatever. You don't know like what America is like, because, you just don't have any idea. And I remember, it was really awkward, I don't know the culture. And same thing like working in the corporate world, I have to learn, like by people saying that, like at KPMG at the time, you can only wear black, navy blue, I think like just two colors, of suits. You cannot wear red. Like now, look at me. I don't. But of course, you learn, and what at the time that's the way you have to dress. You dress that way. I think that sometimes you just wanted to overcome that feeling and not worry about it. And also sometimes you might want to think of it as a. Sometimes it could be your advantage because one, as much as, I always felt, well, English is not my first language and, I had an accent. But at the end of the day, you can take it as an advantage. Like, I know more than one culture. I know more of the global, international because, I grew up in Asia. So everything could be, like, people can say, oh, it's harder for you to get promoted because, you're... Actually, I wanted to tell a story. Like, my mentor at Texaco, and I was young, and, at the time, he was very kind to me, right? Like, he helped me. But then he told me at the time, Julia, if you are white man, you would go very far in corporate America. He, of course, like now, that's not the right way to, people may take it as, racist or something, but he meant it at the time. But, it's because he was just saying, at the time. But, he helped me. He told me, go to work for accounting firm because that would be, better for your career. So, yeah.
Now, when you're working at KPMG, the dress code and conformance, because there's a certain standard. That's why it's an accounting firm. Now, so at the time, obviously, there are not that many immigrants working there. But of course, this day, I even write the blog. If someone can speak English with accents, they means this person knows something that you may not know,
yep.
Right? So
exactly.
I think that is the selling point. That's fantastic. Now, I'm curious, being Asian woman, being a minority in a corporate world, then there's a dilemma. Should you conform yourself with the corporate culture, or should you preserve your own identity? That is a challenge, because being Asian, there is some kind of general perception that Asians are supposed to be quiet, subservient, hardworking, that's it. Never ask for anything. And but if you want to be visible, being quiet is not going to get there. Then there's a dilemma. Should you be conforming to that kind of stereotyping, or to be more genuine, to be yourself? Then how do you draw the line there?
For me, myself, I wanted to learn what is needed in the corporate world. I can be who I am, but I do believe that, you want to, for example, over here, if you're quiet, don't say, anything, do not, contribute your idea, your thought, you won't get promoted. That's the reality of it. If you're not, willing to take risk, on certain projects, stretch yourself, you're also not, going to be promoted because you're not perceived as a leader. There is that perception. I think part of the reason that Asian women, obviously, is probably the least promotable to leadership or management is both ways. There's a perception that Asian women are not leaders. But there's a truth because, of that culture that most, Asian women, probably the parents says, oh, be a good girl, just be quiet, don't rock the boat, work very, very hard because that's what, you need to do, to succeed is work very hard. But we all know in corporate America, work very hard just, get you to keep your job. But it's not sufficient to be promoted as a leader, because a leader is like, you need to be able to motivate, you need to have a vision, what, you are going to do for the company, and you need to be able to hire, motivate, retain good people so that collectively, your team can achieve, more than the individual contribution. So for me, of course, if it's something that you are not comfortable, you cannot do things that you're not comfortable. A good example is that if you guys know the Myers-Briggs, right? That everybody's testing themselves, and I always, people that know me now says that I'm an extrovert. You go out there, you meet people, you talk to people. But, if I really checking, I'm probably more introvert, maybe not so introvert, but then, however, I learned that if you really want to move up, to the C-suite, in the corporate, you need to network, you need to go out there, you need to have increase your sphere of influence, so that, you cannot be, in general, you cannot just, be like, oh, I don't want to meet people, I don't want to know people. That really, usually people like that are, technical people that work themselves as opposed to being in the C-suite. So I think that, it's all individual, however, you don't, changing, to be more outspoken doesn't mean that you're not true to yourself. I would change to what I need to do. My, motto is that I would never do anything illegal, unethical, but, in terms of personality, whether you speak up or you don't speak up. If you don't speak up, you're not going to get promoted. I mean, that's the reality of it. No matter how good you are, you're not going to get promoted to leadership.
Well, thank you. So I think this is very true. I even mentioned in my class, if you work hard, if you're lucky, you get to keep your job.
Yeah.
So you want to get promoted, you need to do something different to differentiate yourself, to create value for the organization, right? Now, you mentioned early on, I found it very interesting in terms of networking. Working hard is not easier. If you as move up, you need people report to you. So therefore, you need to rally up the team to do that. Now, but as a minority, being women or Asians, quite often we are it's a small group of people. Then in a social setting, if you're the only person, encounter other people that were very different background, different heritage. How do you go about networking? Because you need something in common, right? If your skin color is not the same, gender not the same, culture is not the same, where do you start?
Whatever, the group, usually when you network, you go out there, you have a common interest, right? Whatever that you are interested in. Some people, let's say, love arts. So when you network, you go out there outside your work. Or if you are, in finance, like for me, going out there to meet with other CFOs and other, investment people, even though they are not Asian, they are not women, but you have something in common. In general, when you network, you always have something in common, in terms of the subject. And if nothing else, just meet people and be curious about the person, because sometimes they have a lot of story to tell. Some people have more story than others. To be honest, my life is kind of boring, so I don't have all this drama, to tell or whatever. But, a lot of people, some of them have very, very interesting, actually everybody has an interesting story, about themselves, about their interests, and something about, some subject. So that's how I would do it.
Okay, very good advice. So instead of really projecting on yourself, is try to ask that person to review some of the background from him or from her to start with, right? So now the next question is that when you talk about to move up, you need to take risk to do projects. So can you share with us that is in life, maybe you never have any setback or any failed project. Is there any obstacles, any kind of projects that didn't go as well as planned? And then the question is, when things didn't go well, how do you overcome that without being seen being weak?
Oh, like a lot of things, never, get, the results that you want. But one thing that I learned is that no matter what, like I do, even if things go well, I try to think about if I were to do it again, how can I do it better? Because, even if things go well, and then if things don't go well the way I expected to be, I also would say, like, what do I learn from it? If I have to do it again, like, what would I do? But without like dwelling on the negative feeling, I'm so stupid, I should, or constantly. I know some people that when they had not getting the result that they want, they view it as a major failure. Or again, like worry so much that, people think that you are incompetent or something like that. To me, I think that, a lot of times, I thought that, this is a great idea, let's do that. But it turned out to be not a great idea. You just have to pivot, So to me, I think that it's good to just learn the lessons and then move on and think about what is next, whether, you need to just cut the project or, pivot a different way. But my point is always to move on and not dwell on it. Because, I really think that some people spend so much negative energy rehashing what went wrong over and over that it really takes away, a lot of the energy to think about what you can do. You need to move on to the future instead of keep dwelling. Even things didn't go well, it's not the end of the world. And that's what I learned at Dale Carnegie. Most of the things that we encounter at work, sometimes, it seems to us that, it's so huge, but at the end of the day, it's not a life or death situation. If it's life or death, then you really have to be stressed out because you may die. It's just like, well, you're disappointed. You don't get what you want. Or you don't get the promotion that you want, or you don't get a job that you want. But it's really not the end of the world, and life goes on. You make the best of what you have. And I think that one of the things that is probably a lot of time, like all of us, in the grind day to day, we lose perspective, that all of us here, and most people, should, have, should be grateful for what they have. It's not comparing yourself to other people. Oh, so and so has this, so I'm a failure because I'm not like that. Or, I wanted to be somebody, but I couldn't get it, then, I'm a failure. It is not a failure. You just don't, achieve what you want. I don't think that you need to feel so bad about yourself because that doesn't help. I think that feeling bad about yourself, and maybe that's what I think that, if you have self-confidence, maybe, you are not so afraid to fail. And if you fail, you're not so devastated or you don't dwell on it because you say, okay, or self-confidence sometimes also give you the opportunity to say that I'm good enough. There are some people, I really think that in the Asian family, I know I'm very lucky because my parents are not tiger parents, right? But I do have friends that have tiger parents that, they tell me, yeah, if I get 98, my parents would say, so what happened to the 2 points? How come you're not 100? If you're number 2, in class, how come you're not number 1? So whatever it is, and many of these people become successful in their own right, but they always feel that it's not good enough. I think that, unfortunately, they always feel that the parents think that they're not good enough, and that's how they also feel about themselves, probably. But at the end of the day, I really think that you cannot change your parents. They are who they are. You cannot change other people. They are who they are. But hopefully that you can forgive yourself and, love yourself so that you always say that, I'm good enough. To me, I think that it's more like I give it my best shot. Whatever I want, I give it my best shot. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world, so that's how I deal with that.
Wow, this is really, thank you for your wisdom. This reminds me of Steve Jobs. He has many failures on the products, then until the iPod is the first success, he continued. So, which is also consistent with the famous quote by Churchill, failure never fatal. It's a courage to continue that counts.
That is beautiful, right? Actually.
So I think that is really takes courage to accept setback, obstacles, and continue. Because you don't continue, nothing is going to happen, right? So I think that is very, very important to learn. Because I visited the home of Agatha Christie in the UK, and her book was rejected by 6 to 7 publishers, which reminds me of my own life. But the 7th publisher took it. So she became one of the most successful novel writers in the entire history. Yes. So that is also a great story to remind of ourselves. We actually make the best effort, and then we just need to continue that journey. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now, moving on. As Asian women, we have the glass ceiling, Asian, and also the bamboo ceiling. For those who are in the audience not Asian, may not know of the term bamboo ceiling. Why bamboo ceiling? Glass is easy to shatter.
That's true.
But bamboo is difficult because the fiber is very, very hard and difficult to break. So that is a higher level. Now, after your success at the East West Bank as the president and COO, then you became board members of VCO and chairwoman of the Piedmont Bank. How did that transition come about? You seek after that, or you being sought after?
This is, actually the first corporate, board that I said was Pacific Life, the insurance company headquartered in Newport Beach. I wasn't looking at the time. But I knew the recruiter, the search company that was hired by Pacific Life, and asked if I wanted to be on corporate board. And at the time, because I was still working at East West Bank, obviously it cannot be a bank because that would be a conflict. I said that, and industry that I'm interested is financial services. So I said, when, she told me that it was Pacific Life, and because of the reputation, I said, yes, and that has become, a really great, experience. I love the company, I love what they do. So after I retired, I have more time, to be on, because that was my plan. When I retired from management, 2016. So I would like to spend most of my time on corporate boards and nonprofit boards. So, and all the other, it came to me, and, I selected the company that I want to, join the board. So, so that's how, that's why, many people ask me, how to, to get a corporate board. And I always tell them too, that how important networking is, because the way the process for corporate boards is that they have a profile, what kind of expertise, whether it's, financial expert, legal, international, marketing, whatever. And then they make a list of people that qualify based upon that, criteria. But even if you got shortlisted, but at the end, because there's only one position, in general, they, select somebody that somebody knows. Only because, for corporate, like board position, it's not that you are the best person for that field or, your technical skills, because you need to work with all the other board members, with the, executive management. So as a result, they wanted, people that they know. Is it the right fit? The personality. So as a result, in general, they select people who, whether, the other board members, the CEO, CFO, other, executive management, or the recruiter that know them personally, that can vouch for that person. So that goes back to how important networking, knowing people, get to know people is, for corporate boards.
Thank you. No wonder my students, they don't like to come to my class. They're too busy networking. But it's important.
Yes, you do both.
It's very important. So it's okay.
No,
as long
but
as it's successful.
Going to the class is networking. Like, don't you guys meet all these wonderful people that, in your classmates, right? That to me is a form of networking.
Thank you. So
you need to attend the class.
So because I didn't free them to come to class. Well, thank you. Well, I think this is really wonderful. Then you said that you retired in 2016. Then I looked up your profile, and 2016 was also a special year. 2016, you actually donated some money at UCLA. So on behalf of UCLA, I want to thank you for the generosity. You donated money to support the UCLA Indonesian Studies, the Center for Southeast Asian Studies. So can you share with us, how did it come about?
I've been involved with UCLA for actually 25 years, and how I got started with UCLA, to share the story is that, my younger sister, 25 years ago was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And to be honest, I don't know anything about bipolar disorder at the time. I was just so shocked, what happened to her. So that I call 800 numbers. What do I do? Where do I take her? And luckily, the 800 number keeps saying that if you can take her to UCLA, you're giving her the best, treatment in Southern California. So I call UCLA that, my sister, had this condition, so I checked her in, and it was really the best decision that I made. She was well treated, and she's doing really well, ever since, and that's how I got to know UCLA, and I wanted to contribute, to UCLA. So my first contribution to UCLA is on the mood disorder research for women, because Dr. Laurie Altschuler was, my sister's doctor, and she specialized in mood disorder, and she's a great, great doctor. Unfortunately, she later, got cancer, ovarian cancer, that she passed away very young, when she was only 59 or 60 years old, unfortunately. So I endowed a chair, for her. And then after she passed away, I changed the name to name her, so that whoever that get the endowed, a chair position would remember who she is, because she is really, very well known for the mood disorder. So after that, I was involved, in the various parts. I was on the board of the UCLA Foundation for a while, until I turned out. But the other, things that I wanted to share that I'm really proud of is that about 5 years after I got involved with UCLA, about 20 years ago, I listened to this breakfast meeting by Dr. Janet Prager, who is the head of the Iris Cantor Women's Health Center at UCLA. And she told us, at the time, 20 years ago, that women's health is a stepchild in medicine. When she went to medical school, they didn't even teach, the students women's health. What they say is that all the research and treatment are really done on men. And then they said that, well, whatever treatment for men, since women are smaller than men, just give 70%, of the dosage. That's how they do it. And what is really shocking is that at the time, many of the ER doctors didn't know that the symptoms of heart attack for women is not chest pain. It was more like nausea, fatigue. So they said that, you have indigestion, you have depression. It turned out it's a massive heart attack. And many women died. And when they did a mock study of ER doctors. Many of them did not know that the symptom for women, like heart attack is different than men. So, but time has changed dramatically. But what is really fun on this one is that, and then she mentioned that, like the research money for women's health is, like not there. And I said, how about this, like, why don't I get my women friends, my women executive friends, and we each contribute 10,000 each for a 3-year commitment, and then use the money to do research on women's health. So the first year there are 10 women, so we had 100,000. So Dr. Prager give it to 5 studies, like 20,000 each, which at the time I said, oh, that's really cheap. I'm from corporate world, nothing costs 20,000, So, but if you can do it for 20,000, that's great. So what happened is that one of the study is on dark leaf, like broccoli, kale, those things, and the impact on breast cancer. And it turned out that there's a positive impact. And the following year, they got over $1 million in NIH funding. So, and then the doctors call us the VC, the bankers, whatever, and what is really exciting is that in the last 20 years, some of the money are for community outreach, but they spend about $2 million for research that have been leveraged to over 25 million in NIH and grant. So
wow.
We thought that was just so exciting. And, the group right now, 30 people, it grew and then it stays for a long time. Many of the people really re-up their commitments, on that. So that's really exciting.
Well, thank you for sharing your personal journey or your personal reasons for endowing the chair for the UCLA Medical Research for Mood Disorders Research. Thank you on behalf of UCLA. Now, but then that was not it. I'm curious that is after that, you also have other interests as well. So because I do follow you on LinkedIn, so in that case, she has a lot of parties in Hollywood. Then I said, well, what is Julia doing in Hollywood? Now, Julia Gouw also actually sponsored the short film challenges, and particularly for Asian AAPI women, and also with non-binary filmmakers. Can you share with us how did they come about, switching from medical research, healthcare to entertainment?
It has a lot to do with, I started to read a lot of stories about Asian women, not at the leadership level, and the challenges that Asian women, face here in corporate America, government, academics, at the leadership level. So, and I think that to some degree, I said that it has a lot to do with the narrative in Hollywood. You never see Asian women in the leadership, position in the Hollywood movies or TV series or streaming, only because, there's this general perception that, Asian women, are not good leaders, or, and because people never see Asian women in the leadership level, it makes it harder for Asian women to achieve that. And, when I, met with Janet Yang. She is now the president of Academy Motion Picture, the first Asian woman to become the president. She is the executive director, executive producer of Joy Luck Club, which is the first Hollywood movie that is all Asian cast, and Asian story, Asian women story. So, and then she mentioned to me is that, why don't we do this short film challenge, and open it up to the AAPI women and non-binary writers to send their script, where, the lead, is an Asian woman. And, then we give them production grant. The first year is $15,000 for them to make a short film. And after that, we can help them, to get their short film, shown in the film festival. But what is really amazing is that one of the winners, called, the name of the movie is Take Me Home. Liz Sargent is the filmmaker, the writer. She is a Korean adoptee by American family. What she did is that, her parents, American parents, adopted many, kids from Korea. One of them is disabled, her sister, that was adopted from Korea too is intellectually disabled. So she made, this story about, like how, the mom takes care of her, but the mom died, but, so she, as a older sister have to take care of, the younger sister that, so, but what is really amazing is that short film probably, and then it went to Sundance, South by Southwest Film Festival, many, like 5, 6. I think that it resonates to a lot of people, from what I heard, and she's using her sister, that is intellectually disabled to be in the movie. And she tells story that is so empowering for the sister. She thinks that the sister becomes smarter, and she loved being the center of, attention, like being the character in the short film. So, but what is amazing is that the short film won this LA Short Film Festival that qualify the short film to be on Oscar next year. So we were just so flabbergasted. Something like we said, okay, let's just do these things, like little things, and suddenly, like she was able to, submit it for Oscar, and I think that, and when I talk to the, the winners, people, that the fact that, they won, this short film challenge, it really empowers them. It gives, it really improves their career because the other one, get a lot of gigs, as a director, so I think that I just, I become very, very, interested in helping to uplift Asian women. As, I believe, I feel that I live the American dream. I just wanted to pass it on to the next gen of Asian women who may feel that they are really, facing a very big challenge in America. And I think that one way to do it is to change the story, the narrative. If people can see Asian women as lead, like Michelle Yeoh, I'm just so glad that, she won the Oscar, because if she did not win, there'll be, who knows that, when an Asian woman can win lead actress, or because, if you looked at it, there are not that many movies that have Asian as lead, especially a woman. To be honest, that story was first, actually, the story is for Jackie Chan, which is not an Asian woman. But Jackie Chan asked for $10 million, so A24 said, we don't have the budget for $10 million, so they changed the story to make it an Asian woman lead. So I think that, it's great, once the people see, then many of the, Asian women can see, hey, if she can get it, it gives us opportunity. It's not easy, but at least you can see. Because if you don't see, and that's the problem with all the, the story, the TV, the media, is that in general, Asian women are not seen as, leaders or, having, position of power.
Well, thank you. This is so inspiring. Yes. So I think that there are many people, not only in terms of Asian women, I think that there is this kind of sensation, this kind of feeling in everyone's mind. So I think that for the short film, I think that's to show that a loving sister, taking care of a sister with challenges in life. That was a very moving pictures. Then it said, well, through that process, both you actually learn from the person who may be intellectually challenged as well. So that's his life is a two-way learning journey. So I think that this is also reflected why education through classes like this or movies could actually change someone's mind because they see it to believe it. So I think Michelle Yeoh is also a really breakthrough to the Asian community, not just Asian women, also Asian men. How many Asian men won the Oscar? Okay, that's wonderful. But I think that this is also why representation is an important element. If you don't see, they don't exist. If they don't exist, it will never happen, right? So therefore, I think that we need some kind of fair representation such that everyone see that there is a chance. You need to work hard. It's not given. Right. But I think that at least there's hope right? I think people need hope to build confidence. Now, so let me move on. Now, you looking back on your journey, it is amazing. You've gone to places that most people cannot even dream of, right? Now, let me ask you this then. If there's anything you wish you would do it differently, is there anything you can share with us? Is it, well, I wish I could have done things differently. Anything?
I think that, it's not anything differently. Like I was able to find, I was lucky that, finance, accounting, like investments is my passion. So I got to do what I really love to do. If anything that I would have done sooner is this networking. When I was young, I work all the time. I don't, I feel that, like all my effort, spent, it was only later on I realized that how important, to network, to, like broaden your, connection. And because later on, a lot of the opportunities come about because of your connection, because you know somebody who knows somebody, so if anything that I would have done, sooner, it would be networking and spend time, to get to know other people.
Like this event.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so the last word. I know there is special advice for us. So the student, alumni, and myself follow your footsteps. So what are the advice you would like to leave us this evening?
Yeah, this is not an advice, but I think that everybody should just live a enjoy your life, dream big and go for it, and don't worry whether you get it or not, because, in that process, then you will enjoy the process, even if you don't achieve what, you had, for what your goal. So I wanted to share with you this poem that I read it so many times, but I'm not good at memorizing it, I guess, so I'm going to read it for you. It is really, I love it every time I read this. It is not how much you accomplish in life that really counts, but how much you give to others. It is not how high you build your dreams that makes a difference, but how high your faith can climb. It is not how many goals you reach, but how many lives you touch. It is not who you know that matters, but who you are inside. Believe in the impossible, hold tight to the incredible, and live each day to its fullest potential. You can make a difference in your world. So I wanted to share that because I always, every time I read that, it's really, very, very profound. So
it is really fantastic. Well, I think that we really learned a great deal from you this evening. So basically, let me just summarize these three main points. The first one is that you have to learn to be confident about yourself. You cannot really lean on others to promote you. You have to figure how to do networking, how to take on more responsibilities and to be seen. So that is the first one we'll learn from you. The second one, take risk. Take risk and then try to see how to expand your horizon. But in some cases, if things did not quite work out, take a deep breath, continue your journey. So that is really wonderful lessons. And the last one is very important, networking. So this is this evening's event is really wonderful. So I want to thank you and thank the audience and thank the people joining us live on Zoom. And I want to thank all of you for the privilege of your time. Thank you.